So if you've watched any of my videos before, you know I give most of the credit to being able to get through my daughter's death to the love and support we've gotten from people around us. But I recently went and did something that I think is the number one thing I have personally done that has helped me get to a great place. And honestly, I am feeling better than I ever thought I could possibly feel, or it was possible to feel after Kaya died. So if you want to find out what it is I went to do that has helped so much, please stay tuned.
There's a puppy right here.
Hi all, and welcome to A Grief Journey. This is a channel I made after my 11-year-old daughter Kaya suddenly and unexpectedly died to document my journey through grief and hopefully create some helpful content for other people who are going through grief themselves or who know someone who's going through grief themselves. So today I want to talk about going to a Vipassana meditation course because it has helped me so much. It has helped me feel so much better, and I'm at a place now, less than a year after Kaya died, that I didn't think it was possible to get in the rest of my life. When it comes to thinking about her now, I'm having just purely happy memories of her now, which anyone who has lost someone really close to them knows what a big deal that is. That is really hard to do. I have a lot of hope for the future. I have a lot of joy in my day-to-day activities. So I really want to share more about this with you. So hopefully you or someone you know, if this could be a good fit for you, you have the information, at least the information I am able to give you about it. If you've never heard of this before, I'm going to link a website below, dhamma.org, if you want to learn more about it or find a meditation center near you. They've got them all over the globe, all over the United States, all over Canada. So you should be able to find one that you can gain access to. So I want to break this video into 3 parts. In the first part, I just want to talk a little bit about what Vipassana meditation is. So Vipassana meditation is the meditation that Buddha apparently discovered when he spent 40 days under the tree. If you know anything about Siddhartha Gautama, I'm pronouncing his name wrong, or Buddhism, he spent 40 days under a tree in order to find the path to enlightenment, and this is the path he discovered, and this is what he taught to people, along with a lot of the wisdom he discovered through this technique. And I will say the technique is very logical. It's very straightforward. It's just a very specific technique to notice sensations in your body. No one really wants to give too much on how this meditation technique works or looks like, because it is probably not a good idea to think that you can watch a YouTube video and know how to do this technique. It is a very challenging technique, but the premise of it is very straightforward, very logical. It's a way to notice sensations that occur in your body. And so, of course, at first I was like, how is noticing sensations in my body at all going to help me with the grief of losing my daughter? But it did. It helped, and it helped a lot. So Vipassana meditation courses are 10 days. It's a silent retreat. You get rid of all of your electronics, and you basically just go within and just focus on the technique. It's 10 hours a day. It's very time intensive. And at these Vipassana meditation centers, they take care of you. They cook all your food for you. They clean your dishes after. You basically just have to take care of yourself and show up to meditate. And each day you're taught a little bit more of the technique. So it starts very simple. Just notice the sensations that your breath creates. And then each day they tweak it a little bit more until you're finally on day 10 at the full technique. So it takes 10 days just to learn the technique, and that's why it takes so much time and is kind of an intense commitment to make. You're also told at the beginning by Goenka, who's the one who kind of took this technique and made it accessible internationally. He says it is like opening a wound to drain the pus without using anesthetic. It's a mental surgery without anesthetic. And that is indeed what it begins to feel like after a while. And he tells you this several times throughout the course during these little video discourses that you watch, just to make sure you know how important it is to stick out the entire 10 days. And I'll tell you a little more about my own experience and why I really realize it's so important to be committed, no matter how hard it gets, to stick through the entire 10 days. So 10 days of just meditating, mostly just in silence, although you are able to have a couple times a day where you can talk to a teacher. And if you have a physical need, a physical ailment, or something going on like that, there are people you can talk to about that. But all talk should be limited and functional. There's no simple conversation. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about what this Vipassana meditation experience was like, specifically for me. So I road tripped there. There was this other person in my town who noticed a few of us in the same area were all going to this Vipassana meditation course, and he coordinated a ride share. So we all road tripped together. Two people in our car had already done one of these courses, and so we got to talk to them about some things that it was like and get some ideas of it. Anyway, it was just like a fun road trip with people and getting to know them. And we got to the course, and dinner, we could still talk to people. So we were getting settled in the places that we were staying for that night, unpacking, and we could talk to the people around us. Then we all went to have a delicious dinner, and we could talk to each other at dinner. And then we entered the first meditation that evening, and as we were entering meditation, that's when the silence began. Like I said earlier, they start you very simple, just breathing, and noticing the sensations of your breath, and then each day it got tweaked a little bit to get you closer. Day 4 was when they taught you the actual Vipassana meditation technique. And I don't want to say too much about this, but I had been hyping up Vipassana meditation in my head like it was going to be like some kind of magic wand. And then we were taught the Vipassana meditation technique, and I'm just going to be really honest, my reaction was like, this is it? This is the technique? This is what's supposed to help? This is really basic. Again, it wasn't an easy technique to do, but the premise of it just seemed so basic. How could this be this magical technique that has helped so many people heal from so many devastating, difficult things? But I was like, well, I'm here, and I'm stuck here with 3 other people who need me as a ride home, so I need to go through it. So if you go, remember, if you get to that point, I felt that way too. This is it. This is all it is. Why am I even here? Why did I make such a sacrifice to come? But I stuck with it, and every day the technique tweaked and got a little bit harder and a little bit harder. Then by other people have said day 2 and day 6 are the hardest. And even Goenka mentioned day 2 and day 6 seem to be the days most people leave. For me personally, and I think for some of the other people who had been through some very severe difficulties, I believe day 8 was the hardest. Day 8 was the day in meditation where just all these intense flashes and memories and the emotional experiences I was going through shortly after Kaya died got dug back up. And it was hitting me hard, and there was, with the way it was set up, there was no escaping it. You know, it was a silent retreat. There was nowhere to go. There was nothing to do but have to force my way through it. And I noticed myself and a couple other women leaving the hall, just our faces were red. A bunch of people, I heard more crying that day in the meditation hall than I heard on any of the other days. I think day 8 is a particularly emotional day, and I did want to run on day 8. But I knew that something was happening. You know, something was working, stuff was coming up. and I stuck through it, and I'm so glad I stuck through it till the end. And it really hit with that metaphor Goenka gave of going into surgery to drain the pus without anesthetic. You can't leave the surgery early. If I had left on day 8, that would have left me in a pretty rough spot. And a lot of healing happened on day 9 and day 10. On day 10, after the first meditation in the morning, was it after the first meditation or after breakfast? But sometime earlier in the day, the silence was lifted and you could talk to people again. And this is when you had the lovely experience of why it is mostly silent. As soon as you could talk again, it was so hard to focus on meditating. A lot of the efficacy of the meditating was going away because you were just you were putting yourself out and external again instead of just going in, and it was hard to kind of go back and forth, but it was kind of practice for real life. In real life, you continue to use this meditation technique, but of course you're talking to people in real life, and you need that practice of being able to go back and forth in and out of yourself with this technique, if that's making any sense. Sorry, rambling yet again. This meditation technique did not help with my rambling train of thought. Before and after, when it comes to thinking about Kaya, before going to this meditation course, thinking about Kaya just brought, understandably, intense pangs of grief that were very distressing. It was really hard to think about her and my sadness too much, too long. After the meditation course, I can feel all my emotions. I still have all my emotions. I still have intense sadness, and it's hard to explain. But the intense sadness that I feel thinking about Kaya is not distressing anymore. If it can make sense that those two things can go together, feeling intensely sad about something, but that sadness not being distressing. But that's where I'm at. I can grieve, I can have that strong emotion, but it doesn't cause me distress. It doesn't cause me distress to think about her. It doesn't cause me much distress to think about her death. And so that's really a lot of the benefit I've gotten so far from this technique, but of course I plan to keep using it as much as possible. They give you strategies for just how to use this technique just going about day-to-day life, which is handy if I get too busy to actually sit down and meditate for too long. I can still take opportunities as I'm functioning in day-to-day life to continue using this technique. Okay, so after all that rambling, hopefully you have an idea about whether or not you'd want to make the emotional investment to do this technique, and if you think it might be helpful for you if you're also in grief. I do think it would be helpful to just about anyone who's in grief. But now I want to talk a little bit about who this kind of course could be a good fit for and who it's not a good fit for. Oh, and I think this fits. Okay, the first one is finances. This course is completely free. They want to make it as accessible as they can to anyone and everyone. But of course, if you need to take time off work, there's a financial impact. And they do definitely accept donations. They refuse to accept donations until after you've completed the course, but and there's no recommended donation or anything like that. They just ask for you to give, kind of considering how much benefit you felt it was and how much your means allow you to give. So just make a rational decision for you and your life. You know, what are you up for giving at the end of the course? But you don't have to donate. It is essentially a free course if you need it to be. The food is amazing. It is mostly vegan or vegan friendly, which is great because I'm vegan. It's also, they do a great job labeling any allergens that might be in food and having other options if there are any allergens in food. So if you have food allergies, I wouldn't be too worried. They do feed you, and that is the food you get to eat, but there aren't too many concerns with food allergies, I would say. They also do a great job making sure to accommodate any physical or health concerns that you may have. People sat to meditate in the meditation hall in all kinds of different setups and ways. I was having a lot of back pain at one point, And I basically asked if I could make a lean-to against the back wall so that, I could take some of the pressure off of my neck. And that was fine. There were people who were meditating in lawn chairs with like all these pillows around them to make themselves comfortable. So they also mentioned if there was somebody in a wheelchair, they would work to figure that out so that someone who might be wheelchair bound could still access meditation and figure that all out. The oldest people I saw there, I'm estimating they were in their late 70s, early 80s. So I would say age is not a consideration if you are at all interested in going. Where I would say it's probably not a good fit for people is if you don't think you can stick out the entire 10 days. If you don't think you can stick out the entire 10 days, then definitely do not go if you're not fully committed to sticking out the entire 10 days. The next one would be if you've got a really serious mental health concern, depression, anxiety, I wouldn't necessarily place in this category, but if you have hallucinations, if you have, severe personality disorder issues, then this is maybe not the best fit for you. I think that would make it very, very difficult to make it through the entire 10 days and can make some things worse. Also, if your trauma is still really upfront and severe, I was so happy that I did EMDR before I did this meditation retreat, because even though EMDR didn't get rid of a lot of the things that came up for me, didn't bring it down to zero, it softened things for me, so it was easier to take as it hit. But, I have some very traumatic memories associated with Kaya's death, and if the trauma was still too significant, too severe, I don't think it would have worked for me at that time. So I'm glad I waited. I'm glad I did other therapy first before I went to do Vipassana meditation. And then finally, religious beliefs. So this Vipassana meditation course is meant to be secular, essentially. There doesn't have to be any kind of religious belief associated with it. There's not any kind of religious belief associated with it. Goenka, in his discourses, he definitely has some spiritual beliefs that he shares, but he does not ask that you believe them too. Like, he talks about reincarnation, he talks about what happens with the soul, but this is truly for anyone of any belief, from atheist to strong Catholic or Islamic beliefs. Sorry, I'm trying to think of examples. The only thing is, while you're there for 10 days, there is no sitting and praying to Mecca if you're Muslim. There's no going to Mass on Sunday if you're Catholic. You're there, you meditate, and that's what you do. That doesn't mean you still can't practice some aspects of your faith, but those bigger, clearer things, you're not allowed to do them. I definitely prayed while I was there, not in any kind of formal or scripted way, but having frequent conversations with God, having frequent conversations with Kaya in between meditation. But if you have a very orthodox religious belief that requires some of those things and you are not comfortable putting them aside for 10 days, then this is probably not for you. But any other religion or background or faith, this won't conflict with any of that. So thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for sticking with my ramblings. I probably didn't do a very good job in this video really expressing what a big difference this made for me and continues to make for me. I'm back to work full time. I'm back to work in the schools full time, and there are a lot of intense situations that are brought to me, and I'm able to handle them, at least so far. And I really credit it to this technique. I could see myself breaking down pretty quickly with some of the things that I had to deal with before going to this Vipassana meditation course. So if you're watching this and you're at all going through anything or going through nothing, but you just have the time and the ability to check out one of these courses, I would highly, highly recommend it. So check out the website below. Share with other people. Vipassana meditation is extremely powerful, extremely healing, extremely difficult. and extremely amazing. So if you like the content of this channel, if you're at all interested in seeing more videos, click and subscribe. And hopefully, again, I'm back to work full time and I'm not the most organized person, but hopefully I will make another video soon. Thank you all for watching.